Hi everyone, so this is a little tutorial to guide us on how to do our makeup in the same way. I'm going to be starting off with brows. This is the one I use, the LA Girl brow pomade. I'm using this angled brush and I start off, I have a mirror right here. It helps me, I kind of look from below. I start off right here at the arch, if you could see, to kind of have like the darkest point, and then I kind of like flick, if you guys can tell. And what kind of helps me is I'll use like a razor to clean up my brows beforehand. And then so I start off at the middle, if you can see, and then I go until the end. And if you need to be messy, go ahead and be messy. And then right here, I underline the brow very lightly. I make sure not to have too heavy of a hand in the front, but you can brush it out. And then right here, just make sure to fill up any gaps. And then there's my brow. I just brush it out a bit and then kind of start the process over. There you go. We're doing very dramatic stage makeup, so it's okay for your brows to be dark. There you go. I will just be doing one side for now. And then I grab a concealer and I'm going to put it at the back of my hand as to not grab too much. I have a flat brush right here. And then I'm going to be just going like this. The goal is to build up, don't put too much product at the same time. And then I'm going to be starting again at the arch right here, cleaning up. And just kind of going in one swift motion. Just take your time. And then again, I'm gonna be kind of doing it in two parts. That's how I kind of treat it. I kind of like to hold my breath. There you go. Okay. There you go, you can see my brow is clean. And then I kind of touch up the top, not too much. I just try to make sure my arch is kind of defined. And what I like to do after this is I'll grab a fluffy brush to diffuse it. Something that doesn't have anything on it. You see? And then I kind of just like, whenever you diffuse anything, you work in like little circles, you see? I'm like working little circles, kind of lifting up at the end. Like dun, dun, dun. Again up here. Just so that there's highlight, but that it's not so drastic. I go like this in little circles. There you go. So we're gonna be starting off with one eye today. And then moving on to our eye. So I like to add a bit of concealer that I just use. I always apply my concealer and my foundation to the back of my hand so that I can warm it up and it like doesn't get patchy on my skin. I add just a tiny bit with my finger. There you go. And then if you'd like, you can use a brush or a sponge. There you go. And this is just so that the makeup adheres to your skin. So I like to start off lightest to darkest. I have this palette right here. There are recommendations in the chat. So, or the document has recommendations. So I'm gonna use a fluffy brush. Get the lightest brown, bronzy shade. Depends on your skin tone as well. And then I'm going to start off mapping out. You don't want to touch anything here. You just want to go right here and right here, kind of doing like a wing. Just from here to here. So So I'm gonna start off in this corner. I kind of always start off with the corner, and then just covering my lid, and then building up. Just adding product, taking it off, and then building up. You see? And then just making sure that you don't let your makeup get too patchy. I kind of just add it on there, and then I do the circular motions. I kind of try to make sure that there's like not much when I'm like blending. And then we're just gonna be blending, adding product and blending it away. Right here you see I'm kind of like not putting much. In this little corner we don't want to add anything. We just want to add it. If you see like the socket of your eye, you want to add it here. You see I'm kind of just like drilling it in there. Okay, so there's the end of my eye, and then I kind of make sure to add some here. We can clean it up after because we have nothing on right now, so just keep adding. And then I'm going to choose a smaller brush. This is fluffier, this is smaller, and I'm going to grab the dark shade right here, the dark brown shade. And then I'm going to just stamp it on till you see the right at the, this is like the V of your eye. I'm just adding it right there. Just kind of stamping it on. Don't even worry about the excess right now. So, kind of stamping it on, wiping off your brush, and then going in, adding depth to your eye, keeping it right here in this little like your eye socket. And then as I go out, I like to add it kind of to the wing. Kind of clean it up there. And then just repeat the process. I think always go in with a light hand. So go like that. And then I slowly kind of like add a tiny bit to the front, but like once your brush is kind of out, you know? So I'm adding some, going back with my big fluffy brush, and then just doing circular motions, blending everything that we just did. There you go. Again, we're going to be adding the dark color, taking off the majority of it. Then going right here, we want to create that little V that we were talking about. I'm gonna put it right here in the corner. You see how there's kind of a V? It kind of follows the shape of my eye. We're kind of trying to wing it out. There you go. I'm just doing little circles again. And then I'm gonna just add some of the dark color to the fluffy brush. Take off a bunch, and then kind of add it very lightly to my crease right here. You see? It should just kind of like, it goes into your eye right here. Okay, there you go. So I would say I'm done for right now for just those shades. I'm going to grab the brush that I just got, put my concealer on. I'm going to put some more concealer, but literally the tiniest drop. Concealer, you don't want to add that much. Just like, if you do, slowly pack it on. You got to build on. So I'm going to do a cut crease, do a little half circle right here to add the gold shimmer. But the way that I like to do it is like, it kind of all depends on the shape of your eye. I'm kind of adding it on my lid, but remember we talked about that, like your eye socket right here, kind of the natural cut crease. So I'm going to be adding it first to my lid, and I kind of stamp it on. You see, I stamp it on to like build the shape. And I kind of like to keep this cut crease kind of like smaller and then build up. Adding more concealer, literally just a dot. And this is just so that your glitter will stick out more. And then even if you close your eye, you kind of see that the concealer like kind of sticks up there. You kind of want to follow where your eye naturally creases. You see I'm kind of just stamping on. I don't know if you guys can see. There you go. Okay, there is my cut crease. It is halfway. If you could see like my pupil, iris, whatever, it's at the end of my iris. And then as you see, it kind of like got a little fuzzy. I'm just going to keep making it clean. There you go. So here's my cut crease. I'm going to add the most shimmery glitter right here, not the white one that's basically gonna look white on your concealer. It's kind of like similar tone. I'm going to use my finger because it comes out better. And I'm going to just go straight onto the concealer and then I'll clean it up with the brush. So I'm just gonna go straight. I'm going to go straight onto the lid. There you go. And then slightly blend it onto the other side. And I'm going to use, as you can see, I kind of only got the middle. I'm going to use the brush I just used for concealer onto the other side. You see I just filled it up. And I'm going to do the same stamping motion. Right there. I'm just gonna keep stamping and kind of like just drawing it out. And we want the gold to really pop. There you go. So there's my cut crease. Now, if you'd like, oh, there's the rest of the glitter. So I'm going to go back with my fuzzy brush and I'm going to layer on the light shade and then the dark shade again. So we're gonna go in with the light shade right here where the glitter meets the rest of the shadow. So I'm just gonna stamp it on. You know what, I'm gonna use our less fluffy brush and then I'll blend out with the fluffy brush. So I'm just gonna stamp that on there just so that it transitions. If you can see, we're just transitioning the colors. So just stamp that on there. Then I'm adding back with the fluffy brush and just kind of blending it out. There you go. You can see the brown transitions into the gold a bit better. And there you go. I think what I like to do as well is I'll take my brow brush and I'll go back into the dark shade. This is just a tip if you feel like your cut crease isn't like crisp enough. And then I go in and I kind of trace it on the opposite side. This, I would maybe suggest with the lighter shade too. There you go. So it's very sharp. Okay. And then, sorry guys. So, I don't have much fallout, but what I like to do is add the same shades underneath to my waterline. You don't have to add it all the way in, but I'm going to use the dark shade right now And then I'm going to add it right here. I like to use like kind of my pinky to bring it down. And then I add to just this corner right here. Just kind of stamp it on. You don't have to go all the way into your eye, just right here on the outside. And I go to the middle of my eye. And then with the lighter shade, I just grab some of the lighter shade. I go in just into the front right here. I think be patient with yourself if you haven't done this before, but I think it really pulls it together. There you go. So just doing that. Okay. And then from there, we have these are the 4 brushes I'm using. I'm using an angled brush, fluffy brush, a little like more compact, and then like a flat brush. Putting that aside, we are going to be doing eyeliner. So let's see. I like to use this NYX one, but I would suggest if you're very new to use a felt tip brush. Normally we use black eyeliner. This is accidentally brown. So the way that I like to start in general, regardless of the eyeliner, is I'll start kind of just by stamping. So I'm gonna start right here at the corner, starting with the middle of my eye. If you can see right here. So I'm looking down at my mirror as I'm doing this. And I'm just kind of stamping. And then just kind of know yourself, and when you're going to blink, give yourself a couple seconds. So do like 1 and then blink. And keep going. Blink. So yeah, you start off at the end. And then the way that you kind of angle your eyeliner is like following your waterline right here. You see my waterline's right here. It goes up this way. And right here, the crease in my eye, I want to avoid going over it. Especially if you have hooded eyes, you want to like make this part super thin. So I'm going to just go right here. Avoid the crease. Oops. Avoid the crease in my eye. Let me grab some more. There you go. So I just did a little line, and then from there I'm going to connect. I don't know if you can see. I think okay. You can see this way. So I'm just going to go down and trace my eye. You don't need to make it into a triangle right now. Just your eyeliner needs to match your eye shape. So at this point, just trace your eye and then make it thicker, but like not to the point where it touches the crease of your eye, you see? So I've done that, and now I'm just going to build off. And if this is all you're comfortable with, just stop here. But to make it thicker, I'll like start off in the middle of the line, and I'll just go down. There you go. So that's just half of it. And now we're gonna do the other half right here. This one you very much like stamp. Like you were just kind of like tracing your eye. And then here's the eyeliner. That is where we're gonna stop with the eyeliner. So next you use mascara. So this is a cheap option I like. There you go. So what I like to do is also just look down and then like kind of shimmy it up, and then kind of put the most mascara at the ends of your lashes, not the base because it's gonna weigh your lashes down. So do them at the ends like this. at the ends, avoiding the base of your lashes. And then like, if you want to get the difficult areas, be very light and use the tip of the mascara wand. Okay, so that is a mascara. I add it to the bottom as well. I kind of just go like this. There you go. Same mechanism. You want to use waterproof mascara. So here we are. Now I'm going to show you how to do lashes. So this is the last part of the eye. So you can use glue that's already in here, or you can grab one of these, the Duo. I like the clear one. So I'm gonna use the one that is on this side. Yes. Okay. So usually you cut it to your eye shape. The way that I measure it is like, the way you always put it on is like, hold it by the middle, and then you're gonna put it on like this to the middle, and then you're going to stick it onto the side. So you're gonna like mesh it where it's supposed to go. This seems to fit my eye, so I'm not gonna cut it, but if you do, cut it at the end, not in the front, because the front like makes it look more seamless. So the way I add the glue, let's see. So I add just like a dot. I just kind of dot it on there. Oh shoot. There you go. Okay. So I added the glue. This one you usually need to wait and like blow on it so that the glue gets tacky and the liquid doesn't just like slip. Here's my palette right now for the eye makeup. So from here, usually you wait like 30 seconds. The one I have is fast drying. So I'm going to add it right here in the middle. I'm gonna grab my mirror. Right here, hold it from the middle, the bottom. And I add it straight to the middle. Right there. Doesn't matter, it's kind of weird right now. And then you just connect it to the front, connect it back here, and then just slowly fix it. Okay. We're gonna wait for it to dry a little, and then we're going to go like this, so that is straight on our waterline. I may have needed to let it dry a little more, but there you go. So you're just going to wait a second. I would say probably a minute. I'm going to do my other brow as I wait. Okay. Again, I start off with, usually I do both at the same time so that they come out the same. I would suggest that just for time purposes. I thought it would be better to just show you one eye. So now what I'm doing is I'm grabbing my fingers, kind of going underneath my lashes, just squeezing them so that it gets onto my lash line. You see? Again, there you go. And my eyes, typically I go for a lash that is bigger at the end. Today we are not that fortunate, so this is what we have, but this should be good for your eye. Yeah. Okay, now that we are done with the eyes, I am going to move on to base. So first step, lotion. I put on lotion. So next up, primer. So I like to use this one. You basically want to use one that has the same, like, if your foundation is water-based, use a water-based primer. This one, if you look at the ingredients, is water-based. That's all I know. So I'm going to just apply to the areas where you want to add more coverage. I like to add it here, here. There you go. On a day that I don't really do my brows, I like to add primer to my brows because it helps them stay up. Life hack. So there you go. Honestly, the tip in general is if you want your base to look really nice, you wait a couple minutes in between each step for it to like really settle in. So we are going to do that. There you go. And I just kind of use my fingers because honestly for most base stuff, because you want the whatever makeup item you're putting on to be the same temperature as your face and your hands so that it like really like blends in. Okay, so next up is concealer. Same thing, I add it to the back of my hand and then I just warm it up. And then I add it to the spots I want most coverage, so I add it to any dark spots. There you go. Add it here. I add a tiny bit here, but to be honest, not a crazy amount. I would say never apply concealer straight to your face because that's a lot of product. Like you can see everything I put on my face is just this much. And then if anything, if you really want more coverage, you could build up. So I'm just gonna add a little bit right here. And then I guess some right here. There you go. And then I'm going to use my beauty blender and just blend out everything I just added. I kind of just like, I don't smear it because it doesn't look as nice. You just want to tap. And then be patient with yourself with your base. For here, I also like to kind of like, make sure not to go over your eyeshadow. This is a Real Techniques blender. I get them at Marshall's. They're pretty cheap. My hair. And then once that is blended out, you're gonna wait again a couple minutes. Usually I jump it between my like eyes and my face so that I have time for everything to settle in, you know? So we're just gonna finish up there. Okay, next step, foundation. I like to use this one and I just built up. So a little bit again. Warm it up, add it to your face. I would say this is less coverage than the concealer, so it's just kind of to even out the tone. I kind of just spot it everywhere. And then again, same step, blend it out. I add less to my nose so it doesn't go into my pores. But honestly, it just depends on how much coverage you want. Always start with a little bit and build up. Like you saw, I just added a drop of foundation, not even a whole pump. And then if you really want to be like a perfectionist about it, like you see I have a little like dark spot, I will add a bit more concealer and cover it up. And I'm gonna wait a little for it to dry. I don't really think I have much. There you go. So just gonna wait for it to dry a little so that it has more coverage. Then that's it. And then the next step is going to be blush and bronzer. Okay, so now just gonna blend this out. There you go. It's pretty blended out as far as I can see. I'm not really using a mirror. There you go. So, next step is blush. You wanna go ham. I use this angled brush so that, and you don't wanna apply it like to the, like where your cheek is. You wanna apply it to like where the bone is, right here. From where the tip of your bone is, kind of just to like the end right here, like above your ear. So I'm going to use, everything I use is matte. This is e.l.f. I get it at the Target right here. So I'm just gonna stamp it and then just kind of move myself up. You do want to go ham because it's a stage makeup. So it's going to look like that. Blend it out a bit. Same thing on the other side. It does make a difference when where you place it. So let me see. Let me use a mirror. So I'm just kind of going ham, and then right now if you want to like have it blend out more, use your beauty blender. Kind of blend in between right here the concealer on this side, and then on the opposite side right here on the bottom. Let's see. There you go. And I would say this is, you can keep going in with the blush after. I like to use this shade that's a little more orange, and I'll add it kind of at the edge. And then I do not have a bronzer, but I will be using the shade from the eyeshadow palette. I would say it's fine as long as eyeshadow is very pigmented, so please be careful. I just add it to the, kind of the right here at the very end, and then you can like, you see I'm kind of circular motions, oops, like that. And then if you want to clean it up, like I don't know if you could tell, I kind of went like underneath the line I want to. Kind of just go back with the, this has foundation on it still. Just go on, and then I just blend out a little, and then yeah, I'm going to go back in with a little bit more blush, kind of take it off and just blend ever so slightly, and I'm gonna add a bit to my nose, and then that is it for the blush. Next step, a blush and bronzer. I don't have a crazy amount of bronzer, but feel free to do what you like. I would just say make sure that you're not going underneath your ear. Like this is kind of your line, if you can see. This is the lipstick I'm using. The way that I kind of start is I start with a cupid's bow right here. I just define it. 1, and then 2. And then I start at the corner and I go up. There you go. And then I kind of just slowly fill in the gap. Be patient with yourself. If you mess up, you can always use a Q-tip. So there you go. That's the top. There you go. Okay, that is the red lipstick. I would say this isn't the perfect match for my skin tone, so I'm going to add the tiniest bit of lip liner and I'm going to blend it out. Actually, I take that back. I'm going to use a different lipstick. I'm a layer. So this is a lipstick. This one is going to stay. So I'm just gonna add it a little to the corners. Kind of line with it. This is kind of doing extra. This is just because it doesn't match my skin tone that well. I don't know if the difference is crazy. Let's see. So I'm at the tiniest bit of lip liner. Guys, not showing up. That's okay. So that is, oh no. We have powder. So this one is really good. I would say I'm really picky with powders. I thought I had my other brush. So we're just gonna pretend this had nothing on it. Kind of take off most of the product. That's kind of what I do. And then just like put it on the lid. Go like this. And then shake off most of it, to be honest, until it's like fine. And then I like to put on my lipstick so that it stays forever. I like doing it on my lip liner too. And then just keep going with the rest of your face. This is going to make sure it stays on, especially on your eyebrows. If you ever just do pomade, your eyebrows will stay on forever. So that is pretty much it. I have the setting spray. I like the fine mist ones. This is a good one. So I just put it on. If you really want to be extra, you could put on more powder onto your lips so they don't come off. But that is it. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please message me.